Hey everyone, this is your second stimulus check update, and stimulus package update for Wednesday, August 12th. In this video, I will discuss the negotiations that are going on between the House, the Senate, and the White House regarding the next stimulus bill. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or VA benefits, you are eligible for the second stimulus check, but the next stimulus package has to be agreed upon and signed into law before the next stimulus check will be sent out and can be sent out. There are still only stimulus proposals at this point, and the second stimulus check is part of those proposals, and both sides do agree on the second stimulus check, but there are a lot of differences that they're still trying to figure out between the two sides. Those negotiations are what is holding up the second stimulus check. I will also discuss the first stimulus check for those of you that still haven't received it. I received a lengthy comment from one of my viewers, and this comment I think is helpful to go over because I think many of you that still haven't received your first stimulus check are probably in a similar situation. They had filled out the non-filers tool, they were on Social Security, and they also have tried calling the IRS a bunch of times, but I'm going to share their experience, and I think it could be helpful if you still haven't received your first stimulus check. For those subscribed members of my community, welcome back. Thank you once again for watching. And if you're not a member of our community yet, please be sure to subscribe so that you can join our community and so that you will be up to date on all the latest stimulus talks and all the latest stimulus check news. And if you find this content helpful, be sure to hit the like button and share this video on social media. Let's first talk about the negotiations for the next stimulus package. The second stimulus check is part of this next stimulus package. So for those of you on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or VA benefits, this does pertain to you. If they do pass the next stimulus package and you are on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or receive VA benefits, you are eligible for this second stimulus check. Last week, unfortunately, the talks broke down and they haven't met since then. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said earlier this week, "The president is determined to spend what we need to spend. We're prepared to put more money on the table." The House had previously proposed a bill and actually approved a bill for $3.4 trillion, and while the Senate had proposed their own bill of about $1 trillion. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has previously said that the House could come down to about $2 trillion on their proposal. However, the Senate has not really wanted to go up too much above the $1 trillion, and I think they probably would be a little bit more willing to do so above $1 trillion, but there are a few things that they still can't agree on. They do both agree that the next stimulus package should include a $1,200 stimulus check, and the eligibility requirements are similar to the first stimulus check. So if you got the first stimulus check, or if you're just on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or VA benefits, you should receive the second stimulus check. There are a few major holdups that are keeping this next stimulus bill from passing. And these are some of the things that they aren't even negotiating at this point, but they kind of know where each one stands. The first one are the unemployment benefits, and specifically the amount for unemployment benefits. This is the unemployment benefit from the federal government that would be on top of the state unemployment benefits that people receive if they had a job and then were to lose it. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or VA benefits, this does not affect you directly unless you did have a job and lost it. But it does actually affect millions of people. The $600 per week unemployment benefit extension expired the end of July. The House wanted to renew that unemployment benefit so that it would go through the end of the year and at $600. The Senate had proposed $400 per week, but would also go until the end of the year. Last weekend, President Trump signed an executive action that would give $400 per week to those that have lost their jobs on top of the state unemployment benefit. But it also called for 25% of that unemployment benefit, or $100 per week, to be paid out by states. Many states complain, saying that they don't have the money to pay these out, and so there are still a few issues. In addition to this, it has been said that what President Trump did for the unemployment benefits is not actually constitutional, and that he cannot issue these unemployment benefits because only Congress can issue funds from the Federal Reserve. So This could be challenged in court, the executive action by President Trump. However, it may not be a politically good idea to challenge it in court, so it may not be challenged at all. The question is, will they actually be able to implement this $400 per week and do so in a quick and timely manner? The other major disagreement on the next stimulus package is the funding for state and local governments. The House has proposed nearly $1 trillion for state and local governments who are cash-strapped due to the pandemic. The Senate has argued that a lot of the states still haven't even used previous funds that have been allocated, and in addition to this, they have also argued that many of these states and local governments were already in financial trouble long before the pandemic. So there's a few issues here. One of them is the $1 trillion amount of money that the House called for as part of the HEROES Act. That $1 trillion, it's an absurd amount of money. And if that $1 trillion were simply just used for stimulus checks, and they use the same eligibility as the first stimulus checks, each person would receive $5,000 per person as a stimulus check if they were to just use those funds as a stimulus check. And the Senate has said that's too much money to give to states and local governments. So that difference, and I think the Senate has offered about $105 billion for state and local governments. So there's still almost a $1 trillion gap between what the House is calling for and what the Senate is calling for. The Senate is saying we shouldn't spend that much money, that's too much money to spend for state and local governments, while the House is saying we need to give them as much help as possible. So they need to come somewhere in the middle between the $1 trillion and the $105 billion mark. That's still a huge gap. And like I was saying, $1 trillion would give $5,000 stimulus checks to everyone that was eligible for the first stimulus check. So it is a huge amount of money. If they can come to an agreement on the state and local government issue and the unemployment issue, then the next stimulus package can go forward. Both sides have said that they're willing to continue negotiations, but both of them don't really want to budge on either of those issues, or at least budge enough to appease the other side. Steve Mnuchin did say this week, again, if we can get a fair deal, we're willing to do it this week. And Mnuchin seems to also agree with something that I've been saying all along when he said, let's not hold up everything over a few things that we disagree on. As I've said multiple times before, they should just pass those things they already agree on. They agree on a $1,200 stimulus check. They agree on unemployment benefits. They're close on the amount. It's between $400 and $600. They need to just agree on those two things, pass a bill with those two things, and then everything else, the funding for states and local governments, the funding for schools to reopen, and the funding for coronavirus testing, that can be part of a separate bill. If it's really important, which it is, then it should be part of its own bill and not hold up the unemployment benefit extension as well as the $1,200 stimulus check. For those of you that still haven't received your first stimulus check, I want to go over, like I was saying before, I want to go over a comment that I received from one of my viewers, and I think this comment could be helpful to a lot of you if you haven't received your first stimulus check. So let's go over that now. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or receive VA benefits, I have previously said to use the non-filers tool, and I will continue to say that. If you haven't received your first stimulus check and you are not required to file taxes and do not file taxes, then please fill out the non-filers tool if you haven't already and if you haven't received your first stimulus check. I got a comment from Robin Sutton, who was still waiting on her and her husband's first stimulus check. Robin filled out the non-filers tool a few weeks ago, still had not received a payment, and I had suggested, Robin, please call the IRS. Keep calling the IRS like I've been suggesting in my videos. Robin was hesitant to do so because she had called the IRS a bunch of times before and had never received any help from any of the reps that she talked to. So this is what her comment says, and I'm just going to take a few of the pieces of the comment out because it was a long comment, but let's talk about it. So first off, Robin says, I wanted to thank you for insisting on us to contact the IRS till we receive someone that could help us get our stimulus payments. Well, I called again today, waited about 8 minutes, got a first rep, they were no help, She then transferred me and I waited about 45 minutes and was connected to a super nice rep that could help me. He was so kind and I got all the answers I needed. Robin had told me previously that she had called the IRS so many times and that they were never helpful. I continued to suggest that they call the IRS even though that they had had no luck before. So she was persistent, tried again, finally got a rep that was able to help her. She said the first thing the rep said was to use the non-filers tool. Like I said, this is something that I have suggested to those that are not required to file taxes and haven't received your first stimulus check, to make sure you use the non-filers tool. Even if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or receive VA benefits, if you do not file taxes and are not required to file taxes, use the non-filers tool. So Robin continues her comment when she says, this pertains to individuals who have not yet received their first stimulus check. I was told that everything I filled out in the non-filers tool matched up to the IRS info, and it's a good thing I filled out the non-filers tool, or the rep would have told me to call back after I did, because you do need to fill out this tool. Then she says, thanks Justin also for telling me to fill out the non-filers tool. Okay, so like I've said a bunch of times, make sure you fill out the non-filers tool, and that's only if you haven't received the first stimulus check. And if you are not required to file taxes and don't file taxes. One thing, when you're filling out the non-filers tool, make sure you do not check the box that says that someone can claim you as a dependent. I've had quite a few people in my comments that are viewers that have said, I accidentally checked the box that says that someone can claim me as a dependent. And if that happens, then that will cause delays for you to receive your stimulus check, and you may have to wait until next year. So Robin continues in her comment and says, the IRS told me that 1.8 million or so individuals will not receive their first stimulus check or their second stimulus check because of some sort of glitch they claim in the non-filers tool that shows in our applications the following, even though it is not an actual fact. And Robin's comment continues, sorry, you are not eligible for a stimulus check because either someone in the past has claimed you or is claiming you. And she says, I told the IRS we have never had anyone claim us. We are senior citizens. And he agreed with me because nothing showed in names or whatever, etc., that anyone was claiming or has ever claimed us. He said this is ineligible to receive a stimulus check because of some glitch, and he also said this has been quite a mess. And it sounds like this isn't just an issue with Robin and her husband, but this is an issue with other people as well. It does sound like there's a problem in the IRS's code, and there's a glitch that is causing people to be shown as claimed as a dependent even though they weren't actually claimed as somebody else's dependent. Make sure, just to be sure, make sure when you're filling out the non-filers tool, don't check the box that says that someone can claim you as a dependent. Even if you consider yourself claimed by yourself, don't check that someone can claim you as a dependent. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait until the start of next year. She said he showed empathy, felt bad he couldn't help me to receive our checks, but he said that we would have to wait until tax season in 2021, then we would have to file a 1040 along with a tax credit form. So, Robin did not receive any good news. However, now Robin knows what happened with her first stimulus check, and it was all because she filled out the non-filers form and she called the IRS and was persistent in calling the IRS. Once again, if you have not received your first stimulus check, your options are check the Get My Payment tool. You've probably already checked it 100 times. Keep checking it daily, but also call the IRS. Even if you've called the IRS 10 or 15 times before, continue calling the IRS if you don't have your first stimulus check. You've waited for months now, so calling the IRS a few more times is going to be a lot better than waiting for months more. If Robin hadn't called the IRS, she and her husband would have still been waiting and waiting and waiting until the end of the year and trying to figure out what was going on with their stimulus check. Now, unfortunately, they aren't going to receive their first or second stimulus check if a second stimulus check passes until the start of next year, but at least they know that. At least they know that there is a bug in the IRS's code that caused them to not receive their first stimulus check, and they at least will know that there's really nothing they can do other than wait until the start of next year. You need to get these answers if you don't have your first stimulus check. So be persistent, keep calling the IRS. You will eventually get a rep that can help you and that can get you the answers you need. If you get a rep that can't help you, ask to be transferred. And if they can't transfer you to a rep that can help, keep calling. I know it's a pain. I know it's frustrating, and I know so many of the reps can't help, and I know it's really annoying to have to do this. But there's really no other way to get an answer about your first stimulus check. So I'm sorry that this has been such a pain, and I can't believe that they can't figure out a deal on the second stimulus check. It's crazy to me that they're still trying to work this out. I know you guys are struggling. I know many of you are just trying to figure out how to feed your family and trying to just pay rent and everything else. You will get through this. I know you can. Look for the positive things in your life. Write down those things that you're grateful for each and every day. Look for those things that are good in your life and focus on the good and the positive things that are in your life. And I know that you can be more happy because of it. Thank you once again for watching, and I really appreciate all of you. And I will keep you up to date if I hear anything else on the next stimulus package. And if you have any questions, leave them in my comment section below, and I will do my best to answer them in the comment section or in a future video. Thank you once again for watching, and I will talk to you again soon.